Everyone has a bright light inside of them that deserves to be seen by the world. That's why it's time to shine the light on the extraordinary who are accomplishing phenomenal things. This is the Shine Out Loud Show with Lillian Ogbogo.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever in the world that you are. This is the Shine Out Loud Show, and we are just breaking in the 7th season of the show. So, folks, yes, we're back. Our weekly show is back on air with yours truly, Lillian Ogbogo, and I have a really fascinating woman tonight because we're going to be talking diversity, influence, beauty brands, and hair. We're going to be combining all of this in this one woman who is both a brand specialist, a PR guru, and also a co-founder of a hair salon, which is not just a hair salon, but a hub in itself. So join me and welcome the incredible Deborah Johnson.
Hi,
Deborah.
Lillian. Hi, Lillian. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me. It's an absolute privilege.
Oh, you are so welcome. Now, I, on the other hand, am actually quite grateful to get you on the show. And, and I say this because we had a chance meeting. And
yes, we did indeed.
Yes, at Anna Meyer. And
with DJ.
With DJ, and we sat in the waiting area, and then we got to talking, and we found out what you did, and through you, we had the incredible Melissa Sinclair of Big Hair on the show.
Yes, you did indeed. Her interview was great. I really enjoyed that, and she's a great sort of brand founder to listen to. So I'm glad we got the chance to make that happen.
Oh, I was so thrilled, and I haven't met the woman in person. I am totally in awe of her. So yeah.
Of course. You came to Big Hair Selfcare, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's and these are just some of your brands that you're working with. So you work with Deborah, who is, for those who don't know, Deborah is the founder of Black Skin Directory, which is doing some legendary things. And she is a woman who has made it her mission to make sure women like you and I have incredible skin. And so to her, we doff our hats.
Huge props, definitely.
And these are the kind of brands that you work with. So so let's jump into you. You have been a freelance PR and brand manager for over 13 years. You have a lot of experience and you work with various brands. So what brought you into brand management?
So firstly, I've been freelance since February of this year, but prior to that, I have been a PR and brand manager for about just under 14 years now. So working primarily with agencies, specialising in the beauty sector. I left an agency I was working with for almost 10 years called Pure PR, a great agency where I had some great experiences coming up with in February to specialise in working with female-led brands, particularly brands that are created by women of colour. That's kind of where I am. I just have some great clients that I have the privilege to sort of journey alongside in helping them just really elevate their positioning and what they're doing as businesses.
Okay. All right. So, we keep talking in here, and I think one of the biggest buzzwords everywhere is know your brand, what's a brand, and, looking at how far you've come in the industry, how has branding shifted since you started in the industry?
I would say more so. It's become much more consumer facing. I think when I initially first started, media, as in magazines, newspapers, television, was the kind of vanguard in which a consumer could experience or learn about a brand. I think nowadays, and where we are at the moment, brands now have the ability to directly speak to their core customer base and communicate with them and get in front of them. This is not saying media is not important, of course it is, but there's more opportunities for consumers to really engage and understand what the essence of a brand is. So that would be one of the main points that I've observed.
Okay. So, and like you mentioned, media changing, and with the event of the social media explosion, has the rules of branding changed for the era that we're in?
Yeah, I think there's less, there's less stuffiness. I feel that brands can like have a really true, distinct personality, and social media has been a huge part of that. Essentially, your social media is a look into the DNA of what your brand is, everything from the tone of voice that you adopt and talking to your customers to the images and the aesthetic in which you sort of display or convey yourself with. So, yeah, I'd say definitely.
Okay. All right. So we're looking at branding. We're looking at how it's changed, and and we all talk PR. We're talking about branding. We're talking about PR, and this is your bread and butter. But do you find that there is a lot of misconception about what is PR?
Yeah, yeah, because PR is just one aspect of which a brand is communicated. But in order for you to communicate, the product itself, the brand itself, the service itself has to be newsworthy, and it has to be something that has a point of difference. So I feel like just because you have PR doesn't immediately mean that you are going to be garnering that attention, in terms of column interest or consumer interest. Mm-hmm. And there's this misconception that just because you have PR, you're immediately going to be getting hyped, getting that exposure. And that's not necessarily the case. You can only a PR a product that is good, a service that is good, a service that is unique. And I feel like sometimes brand founders, entrepreneurs kind of miss that. So without thinking thoroughly from the product they're offering, they just assume because they've employed a PR that they are going to be getting pages and national titles, getting televised sections. That's not always the case. That's very unlikely to be the case.
Okay. So and this is the thing. PR now, and everyone who is on social media, everybody is now coming out. I'm a brand specialist. I'm a PR specialist. What are the main key things if you want to get noticed, if you want to get attention, that you need to do as a brand, individual, company, whatever, to get yourself above the white noise?
Okay, I think refine your product, looking at what your product is and making sure that it has distinction into, because I think we're sort of, packaging, I hate to say it, is such a key part of that, because I know there's that saying, don't judge a book by cover. I think a lot of people do buy into an aesthetic of what something looks like. So if you're a product-based brand, looking at how you can really create distinction and stand out in terms of your packaging. Also, I think have a point of difference. I mean, yes, if you want to launch a cosmetic line, who is your cosmetic line for, and how are you speaking to that customer base? Right. And how are you really refining your messaging to speak to that customer base? So in turn, knowing who your core customer is and making sure that you are solely talking to them and meeting them where they're likely to be and to frequent. So not trying to be everything for everyone, refining who you want to be for and also why you want to be for that certain consumer.
Okay. All right. So I like that. And is actually knowing your product, refine your product, and know who you're serving.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now I have to ask this because, this is the essence of the show. We're talking to our community. And do you think, let me reframe this question. Have you found in the past that there's a lot of people in our community who don't understand what PR is and think that it's something that they can get for free or not take seriously?
Yeah, I do. I think not just in our community, but I think in general, when it comes to anyone starting up a business or a service or a product, is this misconception that, like I said before, once you have PR, the PR's job is to just get you everywhere without them actually having properly thought through what it is they're offering, and also thought through in terms of their marketing strategy. How are you launching the product? How are you directly talking to your customer base? Are you going to be a brand that is a direct to customer brand, which is sold directly through your website, or do you need to scale it in terms of getting into retailers? If that is the case, how are you in terms of manufacturing and producing the product? Do you have enough? Have you planned enough to actually meet the demands of a retailer? So I feel like properly doing your research and knowing the ins and outs of how you kind of want to scale your business is key. And it's one of those things that I feel a lot of people overlook. So there is no point, for example, from a PR perspective, if you've got a great product and you get it into a great national and then the sales come through, and if you as a brand founder can't meet those sales in terms of getting the product delivered to the customer, then it's a lost opportunity.
Okay.
So in a way, always just thinking, looking at your business plan and thinking before you even think about hiring a PR, think about how you want to present your product. Do you want to do it via retailer, or do you want to do it by direct sales via website? Thinking about also your product time frame of launch. Do you want to launch with all your products at once, or do you want to stagger them so there's constantly newness in which is coming out that a PR can utilize? And then also applying a proper like launch schedule for each product, so there's enough time and enough consideration to factor in from the PR perspective how to successfully launch that to media and to the consumers.
Okay, so I get that, and we've seen cases of where, you know, a brand was not ready and they had masses of PR and then they were unable to deliver. I mean, it's happened more than one occasions. I think one was the bag company out in Scotland where Princess Kate had a
Middleton.
Yes, had the bag, and all of a sudden there was a high demand to purchase that bag. They could not fulfill. It was, you know, they were backlogged and the site crashed. And it's happened more than once where things go viral and all of a sudden they can't keep up with demand.
Yeah, they can't meet demand, And I think it's unfortunate because effectively in this day and age, I think people's attention spans are so short. So if you can't really take advantage of that moment, it's likely to not come around again, and that consumer is not really likely to want to, when you eventually do get a production in tow, they would have forgotten about you. So making sure that when you are going to media with a new launch or news per se, that all the back end is in place to really, really take advantage of that moment.
This is true, but at the flip side of that, I don't think it's hard to predict. They couldn't have predicted
that Kate would have been seen with,
the Kate effect or the Meghan effect. No one prior to this happening would have assumed, okay, because they had this bag, all of a sudden it was going to be, you know, the next big thing. And I think that, you know, that was something to think about. But, you know, that kind of brings us on to this point about a lot of brands and a lot of companies or a lot of individuals who are building a brand believe that going viral is the way forward. As a brand manager and a PR specialist, is going viral an actual sustainable PR plan?
It is, as long as you've got. It is, as long as it's in the narrative, I think, of the overall objectives of the company, and if you've got things to constantly keep the customer engaged or the consumers engaged after that viral moment.
Right.
If you're just intending to be a one-hit wonder and that's it, and you just want to have a bulk of sales in that one product, then fair enough. But if your long-term goal is to generally elevate the brand as a whole, you should at least have a few other things that are in line with the overall brand objective that you can constantly be pumping out.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that sounds like a sensible idea. You know, one of the other things that, you know, we're talking about you and what you do and focus on beauty brands as well is, you know, with the proliferation of beauty brands, how important is it for there to be diversity in those brands?
Diversity in terms, so I just want to understand, like, diversity is obviously a buzzword which we've been banding around for quite a lot this year and last year. And for me, I think diversity comes into two things. So diversity in terms of what the customer has to is being given, so what's available to the consumer, but also I think diversity in terms of the opportunities in which brands, in terms of color, people of color brands, have opportunities to actually go to market and be successful within that market. So I think there needs to be a bit of a refinement in terms of what we're talking about when we say that. Because yes, I think it's well and great that we have more choice in the market in terms of color cosmetics for people of color, but also I think even better that there should be more opportunities for brands of color to actually trade successfully and be seen in bricks and mortar stores and to be seen editorial pages and to be spoken about.
It is very important. And, you know, and this is why we continue to talk, you know, have these platforms and you know, I love other podcasts out there who are constantly promoting brands of color. And it's actually important because when we start looking at brands of color, especially for beauty brands, we are now almost, you know, at the point where we can go and get foundation in every shade of us, and that
Yeah.
is important, and that's amazing. From the Fenties to Pat McGraths of the world to all the other beauty brands that are setting up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like the Fenties, I mean, like before Fenty Beauty, Bobbi Brown, I mean, always had a great color range,
Yes.
as did NARS for people of color, as did Laura Mercier, in my opinion. And I think it's been great in terms of the fact that Fenty Beauty has managed to really kind of like burst that conversation out there. But also, like champion the independent brands by people of color, so the playing field is equal in some respects. So it's not always the conglomerates who are making the pound. We are giving that economic wealth to the independent brand owners as well.
And that's actually quite important, because there are so many amazing independent brand owners. There's so many, amazing women and men who are creating products that we need.
Who are they? They're doing it all by themselves. They haven't got the backing of conglomerates. Or they haven't. And they also representationally as well, to be able to, for a young girl from East London, to see someone like allegedly for MDM Flo creating a brand. It makes that young girl think, okay, I can do that as well. So I feel like giving those brand founders and those sort of brands more elevation and more financing is really something I believe in hugely.
Exactly. And here's a bottom line. If you really want to support the brands, buy the brand.
But yeah, you power the pound, power the black pound, put your money where your mouth is.
Exactly. Buy the brand. I mean, I was at an event on the Soulful event on Sunday, and there was color blend makeup there, and I had to buy the lipstick. She had this really beautiful purple lipstick, and I had to buy it. Why? Because I have to support amazing brands that are in my community.
Yeah, if you want to really see the change and if you want to really see diversity, I think that happens when you see more brands by people like us in the playing field.
So, and that's very important. So let's kind of keep, we're going to circle back to this about diversity and representation in the beauty industry and in the beauty brands. But I want to go back just to touch on some other things in the PR area. Now, I had a peer of yours on the show previously, and I asked her a question that I would love to ask you.
Who was it?
Oh, you probably know her, Ronke Lawal.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, Ariati PR. Yes.
Yes, Ariata PR. And, I absolutely adore this woman. And so I asked her a question. With most of the recent PR snafus that have been out there, how would you have liked to have seen them handled differently? And I'm going to let you pick one of your favorite snafus out there, that has recently occurred.
Oh, gosh, that's a tough one. Oh, no. A PR snafu that I'd like to have seen handled differently. Is this particularly, do you mean pertaining towards beauty, or can it be general?
It can be general. It can be clothing, people charging more for plus sizes. It can be bra companies who claim they can't find women of color. I'm not going to name names. Names.
The one, obviously, that comes to, well, for me, it comes to the forefront of my mind is a certain, are they Swedish? High street retailer, and a little child with a certain jumper on him that said, I think, I am the cheekiest monkey in the jungle. I mean, that got that kind of, I remember when I first saw it, I was just like, my initial thought was, is this a joke? Because I generally do not understand how that could have been unintentional. Just like from my side of things, knowing how all the stages that you go through in getting a campaign signed off, and then I personally I'm not of the belief that it was. I think it was accidental. I think it was intentional. So I'd rather that not be done in the first place. Because I know people say it's because there's a lack of diversity in terms of their workforce, in terms of the decision makers, but I don't see how that truly is the case. I sometimes think that old adage that all PR is good PR. Wrong.
Yeah.
And if you think about you talk about viral moments, if you think about the amount of trending H&M would have got because of that, it would have been it's infinite for them. So I don't see how that could have necessarily been accidental. And if that is the case, it's quite sad that you, in this day and age, you're such overt controversy and dismissal of people's kind of feelings and sensitive feelings was used as a way to kind of like market a brand, because it wasn't a product thing, it was a brand thing, it was a brand conversation.
Exactly. I mean, and that sparked a lot of conversations. It sparked conversations around, people who are guardians to, these young children as models. Should they, at what point do they step in and say, hey, not acceptable? Or are they supposed to just kind of stand back and go, well, we don't want to mess with the money? It was a lot of conversation.
I remember his mother saying that she found she didn't see what the problem was, and it's her right to have her own opinion. But I know it did shake up a lot of feelings in the sort of Western world, so Western Black world, in terms of its appropriateness. And then also one of the positive things, I guess, is that it kind of made people question who they're buying from, and maybe there is a need to support brands that are from people of color, because that would never happen. There's never this kind of like, there would never be plea of ignorance. Oh, we didn't know it would be offensive, or if it was intentional, then it would never happen with a brand of color.
Well, so the question is, what would you have done differently in terms of handling that situation?
I wouldn't have put it out in the first place. To be quite simple, I wouldn't have put it out in the first place. It's just those sort of tactics I find deplorable. So sorry that
you're like, it just wouldn't have happened. Sorry,
it wouldn't have happened. Trying to think of something, another sort of brand kerfuffle. No, give me an example, and then I will.
So one of came out recently over the summer was a well-known underwear lingerie company for women of larger bra sizes, and the complaint was, if you flick through their magazines and their brochures and, walk into the store, and all the images up are of, just white, very slender looking women, or, what they call their curve size, are still kind of on the slim side of the spectrum. And we're all very almost one-dimensional in terms of race. And their response to this was along the lines of, well, we can't really find any women of color who within that range of our product range who are willing, who have the confidence to represent the brand.
That was their response. So they couldn't find any people of color.
And then they go, well, but we have some women who are of mixed ethnic backgrounds, and it was kind of the response. And I looked at it and I shook my head and I was like, okay, so that's a foot in mouth moment right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate, because that's ridiculous. I mean, if I was in that moment when you have the consumer saying to you, "You've done wrong," eat some humble pie and listen to what's being said and rectify that. Put out a social media campaign asking if people are so strongly against the fact that they haven't done this. Okay, let's all work together to find women of color that you feel will represent us and that can fill this gap that we have. Mm-hmm. That's what they should have done.
And maybe we should pitch it to them. Just saying.
Who was it?
Girl, don't get me in trouble.
Come on. I can just Google it.
Yeah, but it starts with a B, ends it with a Mo.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
I shopped there.
So do I. So don't get me in trouble.
No, so I just mean in that instance, eat some humble pie, accept the fact that, okay, you may have messed up here, and ask this collective community, who obviously have fresh and right to engage you right now, to help you rectify your mistake in finding models and pay these models, to be the new face of your campaign.
And so this, with all of these brands, with all of these, that have happened over the recent months and the last couple of years. Can these brands recover in your estimation? If they've missed the mark so badly, can they recover?
I think they can recover. Essentially, reason being, this is going to sound quite controversial, but I'm going to say it. More often than not, I find with some cases when there has been a social media cock up, are the people who are responding necessarily the customers of that brand in the first place?
Okay.
I don't necessarily think that is always the case. Therefore, it's not like the brand is losing a customer base, essentially. What they've done is now put themselves in front of someone who could have possibly been a customer, if that makes sense. When that happens, I think, like I said before, come correct, admit your mistake, and be shown to be making moves that you are rectifying that and you are learning and you're open to feedback and discourse from this new potential customer. So yeah, I do think there is always room to redeem yourself.
Okay, so I'm going to give you one that's on the flip side. So we've been talking about brands who have misstepped and screwed up and have done something wrong. Now we have a brand, Nike, right? So look at Nike's position. Now you have people who are trying to boycott Nike and burn their Nikes and burn their articles because Nike has made Colin Kaepernick the face of one of their campaigns, and he has been on their payroll books for a very long time, but they just decided to make him a face of one of their campaigns. Now, as a branding specialist, where this backlash that you're facing and everything that's going on, what do you think Nike's thought process is and how they're dealing with it, and knowing that it will hurt controversy, it will get a lot of people, certain spectrum of people, triggered about, hey, and different conversations?
I think in doing this, they're showing that they're a brand of integrity and that they feel that aligning with the individuals and the movement behind Colin Kaepernick far outweighs any of the ignorant and somewhat backwards mentality of a customer base that they potentially don't see that much value in, to be honest. Because I feel like anyone who's supporting Colin Kaepernick is going to be and that I feel is going to be a sort of person who's going to be a Nike customer,
right?
And they are putting more weight in that customer base than the minority who possibly aren't. And I think, and also showing who they are as a brand, I think is a brand that has integrity and who's so willing to publicly stand behind a movement they believe in.
Right.
It's worth its weight in gold. It's such a fantastic thing to do because it shows it encourages more sort of loyalty from their customer base and more pride in their from their customers. And also in doing this as well, they've got column inches. I mean, look, it's all over the media. So it's a great marketing move.
And also, on the flip side, they're giving a lot of comedians a lot of fodder because the people who are so-called boycotting the Nike are actually burning up stuff that they already own. Like Nike,
I've already purchased. It's like you've already purchased this.
Folk, you paid, so we ain't worried.
And most likely as well, I guarantee so-and-so who's, well, I can't guarantee, but you may burn your Nike, your Air Maxes now, but when the next ones drop in the next season or two, I can possibly imagine you're going to repurchase, and your moment of hate is going to be dissipated, and you'll repurchase. I mean, like, it's just ridiculous.
So I take my hat off to Nike because they are, as someone has said, that they are great at commercializing and capitalizing on certain situations. So
on cultural movements, they are.
So hey, and no offense, they just showed, was it Pepsi that had that ad recently? A couple of years ago with the we won't mention what family, but they showed them how not to do it.
Yeah. If you're gonna pretend to be if you're gonna be like a brand that is with the times, that is with the movement, actually advocate and stand behind someone who actually is sacrificing something, as opposed to getting I'm not even gonna go there actually.
No. Let's not mention names because that goes down a wormhole that none of us want. But Nike's like, people, this is how it's done. We're just saying.
Just do it.
Okay, so we've had a live question coming for you, and the
Oh,
question
who
goes,
from? Can you tell?
yes, from Norman Bonner goes, can you speak on your personal experience with a PR cock-up that you've had to personally fix or solve?
Yes, I can. Um, well, again, not mentioning names. Once had a brand founder. It was actually a recent thing. Who had went to go and meet a few journalists for some press interviews and press meetings, and despite some of the things behind the brand that were told, which we first said brand founder not to discuss, were discussed, and the journalist picked up on some of these things and decided to focus the attention on basically how certain ingredients were sourced and harvested, and turn it into a negative spin, when essentially there wasn't nothing negative about it. It was just the way in which the brand founder had answered the questions led them to believe that the ingredients weren't ethically sourced.
Oh, Lord.
So in that, yeah. So in that respect, what we ended up doing was really kind of pushing a campaign to really sort of like unfold and retell the brand story from beginning.
Okay.
To how it was founded, to how everything was sourced, to all the ingredients. Basically expose the brand, so show we had nothing to hide. So I think in doing that and just showing that, and it just went just a whole media campaign around that, making sure that people knew through and through, this is the brand, this is how it was created, this is the founder, this is how products have come to be being sourced from their raw material to being on your bathroom cabinets. So I think in doing that, the main intention was to show that we have nothing to hide and that we're fully transparent.
Okay. So, so like you said, brands can recover.
Yeah, they can recover, definitely. There is never a that's it, a final moment. And I think that recovery comes from being willing to be vulnerable and open and speak to and listen to your customer.
Okay. All right. So we're going to actually switch gears, because we've been talking about one side of you, that is being the PR and brand specialist. But you also have your own brand because you co-run Simply Gorgeous.
Yes.
And let's talk about that. What is Simply Gorgeous and how did that come about?
So Simply Gorgeous, or Simply G as I like to call it, is an Afro hair salon located in northwest London, which was launched, opened about 2 years ago by my mother. No, 12 years ago, sorry, she'd kill me. 2 years? No, 12 years ago by my mother. When I was at university, it was really funny. She told me one evening that she was training to going back to train to be a hairdresser, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then about a year later, when I came home from uni, she had opened this salon. And so 4 years ago, I decided to work alongside her, because she'd been always asking, why don't I get more involved? Why don't I get more involved? And I was just like, well, no, I don't do hair. I can't do hair. I don't want to do hair. And then about 4 years ago, it kind of like a light bulb moment hit me, when I was like, well, I do PR and branding and marketing for a living. Why didn't I apply some of what I'm doing in my sort of professional life to assist the salon? So we began working together in that respect. And the whole objective was to kind of just to challenge what it is to be an Afro hair salon in London, because I feel like growing up there was this very strong impression of Afro hair salons just being a lot less service led and a bit, for want of a better word, a bit ratchet. I remember when I was younger going to get my hair done, and you had an appointment at 11, and by 12:30 you're still waiting to be seen, and it would be
12:30. 12:30.
Yeah.
Listen, I've been to this hair salon. I used to go there, and this is basically how Stockholm syndrome starts. I'm sorry. I will go there like 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. Won't leave there till like 9 o'clock at night.
That to me is unacceptable. And I felt like just like listening to my friends lament about their experiences in Afro hair salons, and I was like, why are we still putting up with this? Like, why is this still seen as a norm? And I understand there are certain reasons why you can't put it, but if we can do better, we should try and do better. And so with the salon, we started like really reconfiguring how we serviced our customers. So again, our main objective is to be service led, that you are, and just refined. When you book in at certain time to get your hair done, you'll be seen at certain time to get your hair done. Like the whole experience, I love it when you go to a voice hair salon. I mean, there's a time and place for it, but for us, we have a kind of a high chill, low stress model where
Okay.
it's not a sort of place where it's going to be noisy, leery, or people are shouting, people eating. Like, no, 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 no. You're paying to go to a sanctuary. This is what we're going to give you.
Okay.
And then alongside that, we are slowly but surely, in terms of the products that we have to offer, that we use in salon and that we retail, we're slowly but surely moving over to, hopefully I'd say by around spring next year, we want 80% of our product offering, both professional and retail, to be by Black-owned brands,
Okay.
because FUBU, for us, by us, I believe in supporting each other economically. And one way we can do that is by making sure our customers and our clients are seeing the wealth of great brands out there that are created for them by people like them. And then another leg to what we do is we do events.
Okay.
So we do events in two parts. We do workshop events, which I run with Gina Knight of the Wig Witch, which are DIY wig making workshops. And then we
Okay.
also do these things called Sunday Chill sessions, which we basically, they're free. You come down and we normally have someone leading the sessions. We've had Irina Sinakoji, who's a great Nigerian writer, and she was reading some excerpts from her series of books called Speak Gargantula about Black female identity. And
Okay.
we've also had another session with Kay Darbury and Emma Darbury and Kay Montano discussing beauty from a personal colour perspective. So yeah, it's a lot going on there, but I think the main idea for us is to really elevate the Black Afro hair salon experience in terms of the service you're getting, and also creating an environment where women can connect, and women can just like learn and be inspired. So yes, that's the salon stuff.
Okay. And I like that it's not just a hair salon. It's a hub. It's a place that brings women to gather together. And I think that whole change in the identity of how we are serviced in the market for our hair care is really important.
It is
And
really cute, yeah.
And I had Tala Okogo on the show on the previous seasons, and she was talking about hair, and not just from a perspective of what we are doing to our hair, but what we are putting on our hair, and in terms of products. So, have you seen a change in women's perspective in choosing natural styles over relaxed styles?
That's it.
A woman going more natural is a message that has been going on the last few years kind of sinking in.
Yeah, it definitely is permeating, and it definitely is like so it's kind of interesting in the salon, just like so I'm based there quite a bit, and seeing the sort of services in which people are coming in for. So we're having a lot more women who are natural or recently BC'd coming in, wanting protective stylings or wanting treatment on their natural hair. I'm still seeing an older generation who are still using relaxers, and I think that's fine. What, the choice is yours in which what you want to do with your hair. We're not here to preach to you about what is wrong and what is right. What we're here to do is provide you with care solutions and treatment services will actually keep your hair in the best health possible. Mm-hmm. So, but definitely we are seeing a lot more interest and a lot more clients coming in with their natural hair type and wanting. So one of the main things that we do is braiding. And
Okay.
so women who have recently BC'd, or girls that recently BC'd and are still working out how to care for their natural hair in its natural state, who just want it to grow healthy, but they want protective styling to keep it just to keep themselves from just like messing it up whilst they're still trying to figure things out. So yeah, it is that is coming through, and also women wanting more natural ingredients. Definitely, I mean, at the salon we stock two great brands. One being Afro Hair and Skin Co. We stock their Flourish butter and their Bloom oil, which is fantastic, and the Jim and Henry 8, and it's quite nice. Like, imagine if, say, it was 3 or 4 years ago, trying to talk to a client about a natural product. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't it be as easy or wouldn't be as open to it as it is now? Now, when you have someone come in and we've got these two natural brands, pick up. People are like, oh yeah, I heard, like, I've been trying to sort of look for more natural products. There's much more of a receptiveness to it,
okay,
which I think is great.
Okay, and that's really fantastic because we need to have more choices, mm-hmm. and we're talking about Tala just very briefly because she has that new documentary coming out, which I think is something that we all as women of color should get behind.
Yeah.
So let's, looking at hair, and I'm going to ask you this. Personally, where do you stand on when people ask you, can I touch your hair?
Do I look like a pet? No, you can't touch my hair. Like, what? No. No. I mean, like, it's to me, it's an absurd question. Why do you want to touch and feel me like I'm some sort of specimen to be investigated? No, I'm always just like, it's tough. I remember a few years ago I was in Vietnam, and I always had my hair in long braids. And I was in Vietnam, and I was walking through this market store, and just like minding my own business, and I turned around, and there's a crowd of people around me, and just like staring at me really curiously, and like started touching me, and I surprisingly was fine with it because it came with an innocent curiosity and innocent ignorance, which because they weren't used to seeing someone like me, and with hair like mine, so I was pretty chill about it. But when that's happened over here, and it has done, I'm like, no. I am not a specimen to be petted. I mean, I just don't understand. Yeah. So I'm like, no. If it's a time and place, if I meet someone, if it's in a place where I get it, where you're not used to seeing someone like me, and it comes with an innocent curiosity, then I will allow it. But if it's in my home city, and someone just it's like, oh, your hair looks really nice, and then it automatically goes to touch her, I'm like, whoa. I ain't stroking you now, so don't you stroke me.
Oh, that's going to start all kinds of different conversations. But girl, did you just start with, I am not a pet?
Yeah. It's just so invasive. I just find it personally invasive. And the idea that you are exoticizing me and so overtly, it's just like, no. I mean, there have been times in like sort of work settings, social settings, as it has happened, and I think you've got to choose the time and place and how you respond. But more often not, inside of my head, I'm like, are you kidding me? Is this seriously a question you're thinking to ask me, or you wanted to do in this day and age? No.
So let's put it out here, folks. If you see Deborah Johnson out in public, and you're from different backgrounds, please leave her hair alone. She's not a pet. Even if
it's a black girl, I'm just like it's just like, maybe don't pet me, because I'm also covered in tattoos, and often not people are like, oh, I like the tattoos, and immediately goes to touch them. I'm like, why are you touching me? It's an invasion of privacy. No.
Just don't touch.
Just don't touch.
Ask. Look with your eyes and.
Yeah.
Look with your eyes. Don't pet her.
Yeah.
Okay. That answer threw me. Okay.
I mean, am I wrong? I just find it absurd that. And again, it's weird the way I respond. I feel differently depending if I'm in the UK or not. But I feel like if you're in the UK, and I don't know, I find it just a bit obtuse, to be honest.
Okay, so let's segue. Now we do something in the show called the So Loud Moments, and I am very, very curious and very, very excited to get our So Loud moment for season 7. And so tell me, what is your So Loud moment?
Okay, I'm gonna be really annoying here because I know it's like I've got 4, and they're on behalf of other people.
Okay.
That I am proud and privileged to know. So is that okay?
Yeah. Hey, it's your So Loud moment. Let's share them. So,
firstly, my third moment is shout out an amazing. It's one of my closest friends, Catherine, who started her dream job as a researcher at Cambridge this week. And the reason I see it as a moment for me as well, so I've watched her go through so much, and to see her strength and her conviction and determination in getting where she is makes me proud to actually know her and be around her. So I feel like in that that's a So Loud moment.
Okay.
And then the other one is on behalf of my client and friend DJ of Black Skin Directory, who was amazingly nominated for Aesthetic Awards this week. And this woman is a grafter. I mean, I have never encountered someone who works so hard and who strives so hard for excellence. So in having her being nominated for this award, I feel so much pride because she allowed me to be part of this journey with her in working with her as her PR. And then, thirdly, sorry, you're going to be so annoyed at me. I'm sorry.
Go on.
There's Abby. So, Beauty and Style Edit, which is a site sort of shortened to Based by Abby, it launched this week as well. And I remember meeting up with her. She's a friend that I've met via the industry. She used to be a fashion stylist, fashion editor site at Marie Claire. Stalked her from afar for ages on Instagram. Finally met up, I think, about a year and a half ago. And she was talking about relaunching this site, and she relaunched it this week, and it is banging. And it's just it's from that. It's like basically beauty and style inspiration for women of color, and It's like content and that kind of aesthetic that just feeds me. What I know she's gone through a lot trying to get this launched, and to see it now in its fruition, and just to like read through it, I was just like, girl, hats off to you. So again, I just want to. That's a so loud moment for me seeing this site just launched.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. So for all four of them that you've absolutely celebrated, we're going to throw a big round of applause out to the public. Yay!
Yay! Yeah. But I think there is something, I think that you'll treat for moments that are yourself, but for yourself, I think there are also moments where people and vice versa.
Yes.
And I feel like I'm only as good as the people I have around me. And I feel just in the journey of going freelance, I've realised that one thing that has kept me, it's only been since February, but one thing that's actually allowed me to make this move and kept me going for these last few months, because it's not been easy, I'm not going to lie, has been looking and recognising what the other women around me are doing and how hard they're working and how committed they are. It helps keep me on track. So when I sit down and when I saw I saw that you wanted when you said over about the salad moment, I was like, okay, what is my moment? And I was like, actually, no, my moment is knowing these great women who coincidentally in this space of like a week have individually had some great achievements happen for them. So yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to give that moment, or put it on them as opposed to on me, because they allow me to have so loud moments.
Awesome. And you actually kind of gracefully segued into this question, because I wanted to ask is who have been your greatest influences?
In terms of work,
in terms of the woman you are today, in terms of, the woman that is standing, what has influenced you?
I definitely say, without being cheesy, my mother. My mother is this amazing, cantankerous, argumentative, beautiful, loving Nigerian woman who is just a grafter through and through. I mean, coming over here and raising her kids like she did, she's always been, sort of, for me, a beacon of inspiration to look at. Not perfect, but I always admire her strength and her ability to hustle, And then I'd say also at Pure PR, I used to work at, my director there, Kelly Marks. She's always been really encouraging of me, and has always put the most faith in me and my ability to do, and actually just giving me platforms to actually springboard ideas and actually have those ideas come to fruition. So I don't think that without her guidance and without her support and encouragement, that I would be doing this or in any way be at the level I am now. And then also just I have the privilege of working with some amazing female founders right now, women who individually are doing the most within their fields, within their industries, and just are producing great work and managing great businesses and allowing me to be a part of that journey. So I'd say them as well.
Awesome. And, and I love the way you give back and you actually shine the light back on all the other people in your world. And there's nothing cheesy about celebrating your mother, because, hey, there are things that we take from our mothers. Sometimes we take it for granted, but yeah they are the foundation for us. So no cheesy there.
Yeah, no.
All right. So looking at your journey so far, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
What advice would I give my 18-year-old self? Oh, that's a tough one. I would say stand in your truth, actually. Just be the ability to be confident in what you feel instinctually is right for you, even if it goes against the grain of what you're being told. Because at the end of the day, I feel like looking back at things now, there have been moments where I've gone against my grain, and it's been a lot harder a battle than it needs to be if I just stood in my truth or listened to my instinct, for want of a better way of putting it. So yeah, I'd say listen to your instincts, go with your gut. No guts, no glory.
Okay, no guts, no glory. That's a good thing. A good thing to follow on. And with everything on your plate, with all the brands you manage, and then with the fact that you have Simply G as well, how do you manage your time?
That's something that I'm still navigating and struggling with, to be honest. I think we need to be honest about these sort of things. I'm not superwoman. I'm not effortlessly efficient. It's a day-to-day adjustment and struggle, but I take it one step at a time. In terms of like, okay, listening to how I feel, what I need to prioritize, looking at what's the most prescient thing that needs to be addressed, and focusing on that, and also blocking out emails, because emails are the destroyer of progress. Oh my gosh. Blocking out emails. I try to look at my emails only 3 times in a day. And the rest of that time, I'm just like working on proactive projects that need to be finished. Because if I spent all my time responding to emails, nothing would get done. So that's a practical tip. Only check your emails about 2 or 3 times a day. Once in the morning, first thing, give yourself about an hour to respond to those. Then I do it a second time at around 3 o'clock, an hour to respond to those. And last time around 5:30, an hour to respond to those. In between that time, I'm working proactively on things that need to be actioned.
Okay, that actually is a very good tip. I think I might have to follow that. And I like your honesty, because you're saying you haven't, sorted out how to totally manage your time.
No.
And, I'm going to throw another word at you, which is another buzzword for 2018. Everybody is talking about self-care and well-being. Yeah. So how do you, let me phrase that. What are your self-care practices? How do you take care of you?
That's a tough one. That's a really strong one. Hard one to answer, because it's something, again, that I'm still working out. I often find that routine for me is a hard thing to maintain in terms of my own personal care. I find the whole self-care argument, a discussion, actually can be quite detrimental for those who have not quite mastered it yet or trying to get there. Mm-hmm. So it's something that I'm still trying to work out and assess. I've recently got back into yoga, which I know it's cliche, but I have found that the times in which I have done yoga I've noticed the difference. But that's not for everyone. It's taken me years and years and years to finally get it. Also, seeking help and advice. Like, if you need to go and see a therapist or be referred through the NHS, just because I don't think self-care is not all candles, yoga, meditation. That's not for everyone. Sometimes people need a lot more of a Western traditional way of getting their minds right, and that's okay to do that, not feeling any shame in that. But just sort of honouring yourself and doing those things that you put you on the right sort of path to getting there. I don't think that path necessarily looks like it's being purported to be, I feel, for a lot of the conversation we're having, meditation or yoga or whatever. I'm still trying to figure it out, and there's no shame in that. And I don't think anyone's really, really got a clear idea. We're all just pretending that we do sometimes. And I think that in itself can be so harmful. So just be okay with not being okay, and if you do need to go and see a therapist or seek medical help, please do so. But if you find meditation works for you, then do that. But just don't feel the pressure that you're not reaching that goal because everyone else seems to be.
Yeah. Again, we can point back to social media being a driver for that, where everybody has to, be okay all the time. And I think it's actually very important that you say that, it's okay not to be okay.
Exactly. I think it's just it's so destructive, and it's so and damaging the way we have these expectations that are being floated around, and we're absorbing these ideas, these ideals. They're not necessarily our own ideals. They're things that are being transmuted to us. And so we think that we are not enough, we're not achieving enough, or we're not living the right way because of these like kind of like these images. But really, is that what you really want? Is that what you really need? You know, it's a tough one.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's okay some days if you just say, hey, I'm having a duvet day and
Damn
that's
right.
that, and leave me alone.
Exactly.
You
I
know,
don't
it's,
like the constant idea that you've got to be on the grind, on the hustle. It's just like, no, don't put that. No, it's just like some people naturally are like that, fair enough. But if you're not naturally like that, do not force yourself to be, because it does far more damage in the long run than it will ever do any productive good.
exactly. Okay, so, what drives you creatively? What drives you to, the work that you do with your clients, the work you do with Simply G? What drives you?
Just to want to be around things that I personally see value in and appreciate. So with like for example, I appreciate and see value in women being able to economically support themselves, and having positions in the market. So that kind of drives me to work with these people like Deja of Black Skin Directory, like Janelle of Prick, because I like the idea of envisioning a future with more women like that in it. And with the salon, I just love the sense of community and that it inspires and it encourages an opportunity to meet new people and just like share ideas, have conversations. So these little things I realize are things that they fill me with wealth and fill me with richness. And that's really what I want to focus my time on, is just like doing small things, but doing them greatly for people that actually add to building a sort of future I want to see.
All right. Okay. I like that. I do like that. I do.
I'm an idealist, maybe a hippie idealist.
Nothing wrong with that,
No, there sure as isn't.
you know, um, so we are coming close to the end, and I want to ask simply, how can people reach out to you to get in contact with you, to work with you?
Okay, well, I'm on Instagram at Deborah_T_Johnson, but it's private, so just like request me. It's private because it's like I wanted some privacy in this world. But then also you can email me at Deborah, that's spelled DEBORAH, at Deborah T, the letter T, Johnson, that's spelled JOHNSON.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And, so when you look at clients and to pick a client and to, what is the key thing that you're looking for?
That I believe in the brand and the product. There is, I think you need to believe in what the brand is offering, what they're about. And also one thing I love is I personally like working with brands that have founders behind them. So someone who has created it, who can explain to you directly why they've created it, and you work alongside and collaboratively, with the strategy. I think for me that adds an element of richness and sort of personality and warmth to any strategy you create.
Okay. All right. So basically you have to believe in the brand, believe in the product, and it has to have a story behind it and with a founder that you can stand alongside.
Yeah, that's for me personally. That's just my preference. It's not the same for everyone. But for me, I just feel like, particularly when you're going to media or you're thinking of ways in which you can position a brand or a product, it's stronger when there's a human behind it.
Okay. All right, so folks, you've heard it here. You've heard everything she's had to share. But if you are reaching out to Deborah, make sure you know what your brand is. Make sure you have a firm grasp on your product and what you're bringing to market, and that you can offer it in a way that's sustainable.
Yes.
And most importantly, have your story straight.
Yeah.
And and if you are ready to take your brand and move your beauty brand forward, this is a woman to talk to.
Oh, thank you, Lillian.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. I'm so glad that we've got you on the show, and yes, looking forward to connecting and staying in contact and interviewing more of your courageous, amazing female founders.
Oh, most definitely, we're going to make this happen. Sure.
Awesome. All right, folks, it's a wrap. We have come to the end, and we actually did it on time today, 9:00 sharp. Yay,
Hey.
yay us. So it's a wrap. Catch us same time, same place next week. I'm going to be sharing on video who is coming next, and we're out.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Shine Out Loud Show. If you want to connect with us or let us know what you thought of today's show, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Shine Out Show.